so amazing. You see how they playing? Live wire, it's all about sports and entertainment. You don't want to miss it, so official like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats. You know that we gotta run it back, whether on the field or the court. You know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying. This is Live Wire, sports and entertainment. Let's go.
All right, what's good, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Live Wire Sports Media. This is your Thursday cool down edition. So, all right, after taking a little hiatus of talking about the CBA, the Kathy Engelbert, and all of the other stuff, I'm going to circle back because there are some things that need to be said right now. And I have been waiting patiently for these two people to come out and say something. They finally did. Breanna Stewart, who is a VP for the WNBACBA, and Nneka Ogwumike, who is the president, who has not been vocal in this long time. But she made it her business to be on the Bird's Eye View with Sue Bird. Who knows? Sue Bird found a way to get people to talk about something so she could get ratings, she could get likes, she could do all of this stuff. But nevertheless, Sue Bird got Nneka to come on her show today. She talked about the CBA. She talked about the situation with Kathy. She talked about Adam Silver. But guess what? The phrase that Breanna and Nneka use is business. It's never personal. So if it's business, why y'all can't act like business people? Why did Fee had to run off under her tail to go sit under Kamala Harris because she butt hurt? Yesterday we had Sautu out here talking about it. Unfortunately, she got injured. Now, I'm not making light of that because that's something serious. But we all know karma is a new you know what. Because they was out in public. They've been talking about the CBA. They've been dogging the league. They've been dogging Kathy. And I'm not here to champion for Kathy. I'm just pointing out certain aspects that we could all look at. The one thing I always say, God don't like ugly. All of these injuries happen to y'all because y'all out here running y'all mouth, talking about the CBA, dogging the league, Kathy this, the W this, we want more money. Well, guess what? So Nneka finally opened her mouth and she talked about it. So we're going to play the clip about Nneka, what she had to say. So it's going to be pretty interesting, guys, because the fact of the matter is that she's saying this. It goes to show right now that where their thought process is. You know what I'm saying? Their thought process is. My thing is this here. Work and get the deal done. All that other craziness, y'all could work on that behind the scenes. But you holding other people up because y'all have an agenda. That's the thing. You have an agenda. All right, let's go.
On these things publicly. So real quick, for those that haven't seen this update, which I don't know how, if you follow the WNBA, you haven't, Nafisa Collier gave a statement, a 4-minute statement, essentially calling out leadership, calling out Kathy Engelbert, the commissioner. Kathy Engelbert then had a press conference, essentially denying some of what Nafisa said there was a meeting with Nafisa the next week. A couple days later, Nafisa then cancels this meeting. So this is where we are currently, just to give you a quick update. How have you, what's your thoughts on the whole back and forth of it all?
Well, I mean, I think what Nafisa did was an exceptional display of that leadership, of speaking truth to power in a way that she can be heard. You know, we've had players do it in the past. We've had teams do it in the past. And today, this is where we're at. And this is not where we want to stay. And I think that that's exactly why she's a member of our executive committee. I agreed with what Nafisa said. You know, I think everybody has a way of communicating what they said. And I think she really spoke.
It's funny how she said, I agree with what Fee said, but a little bit of people clapped on that and everything. Because this is the thing. Why it has to be Fee to come out here and champion for y'all? She's a vice president. You're the president. Why have you come out? Why have you did nothing? Wasn't you the one that made the deal for the last CBA in 2019? You was the president then. So why wasn't you leading this charge? Why would you allow Bree and Fee to champion this on unless you quote unquote have a stake in a rival, or they promise you something, say, hey, we got this plan. Let me be the champion. You stepped aside and allowed them to do everything. But then you just decide to come out of the woodworks now because the season over, just to show your, hey, if you're the president of the WNBACBA, then you need to be doing all the talking. Fee don't need to do all the talking.
Spoke a lot of the sentiments that the players had been expressing, many of which, to be honest, were conversations that have been had, not publicly, with leadership. But she took it upon herself to use her platform in a way that was monumental and is going to contribute to the transformational change that we're going to see.
But you guess what? In the sense of this, guess what that just made you look like? It made you look less power. It made you look powerless because you gave all the power to Fee and Stewie to run the Players Association. You don't even run the Players Association. Yeah, you sitting there with your little glasses on, and everything like that. You should have let people see your eyes. But you sat back. You didn't do anything. If you're the leader, you should be voicing your concerns. Say, hey, you got Kelsey Plum on there who came out and she has something to say. Like I said, you had Satsu Salva, you had Sophie Cunningham, you had all these people out here talking, but you, the one voice that's the head of it, you didn't talk because guess what? You probably felt like if I say something or go against the grain, then they could probably try to get rid of me. I said this today, and because I heard it from somebody else on a channel, clearly say that Fee acts more like the president of the PA than Nneka. And with Kelsey Plum and Bree and all of them that have a stake in on rival, it just seems like they forming their own little coup to overthrow you as the president, and you don't have no choice but to go along with it. Continue.
I think that there was still a level of, there's still much to be wanted from Kathy's comments. And I understand that we're not just in the middle of negotiations, but, the playoffs are happening. You're trying to run leagues. We have maybe perhaps the largest free agency on the precipice once this deal gets.
Okay, so if that's the case, why make it personal? Why come out and say all of these things? You could have handled this behind closed doors, but you didn't handle it behind closed doors because Fee got injured and she wanted to. She got her butt. She had a butt sore because she didn't accomplish the things that she set out to accomplish this year, and it didn't go the way she wanted to. So guess what? She wanted to she wanted a grandstand.
Maybe it's the largest.
Yeah,
you all are free agents.
We are all free agents, and so there's a lot on the line. And I think that's why Nafisa spoke up. She definitely spoke to things that we talk about on the EC, and it's amazing as well for someone like her and for someone like Stewie to be in a position to kind of peek into what it's like to run a league. And I think that's the advantage that we have in having.
Okay, you said that's the advantage that y'all have, but guess what? That's a conflict of interest. But you're not seeing that because by them doing what they're doing, it's a conflict of issues because, yeah, they might be part owners of another league, but they still play in the WNBA. They should not be at the table negotiating a deal. You should be at the table negotiating a deal. And for you to step aside and allow them to do that, that just shows your place on this board as it is.
Players like that who are creating more opportunities and creating the growth that we want to see. For us to be able to to do the same thing for the league that we all love and the league that we all play in.
Yeah. Something else Megan and I talked about yesterday was this idea of trust, right? Trust in these negotiations. It needs to be built. It needs to be sustained for really any negotiation to be successful. This is also something that Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, spoke about recently. What did you think of his comments?
I disagree that it's personal. You know, we've been saying this from the beginning. I think maybe perhaps even since opt-out, it's business. You know, that's certainly the mantra that's been imparted upon us from the league. You know, this is business. I think that you can take it personally if you, perhaps, naturally in a negotiation, you don't like what's being said, but you and I have been there. Yeah, it feels personal at times, but it's business at the end of the day. And I think that our players have been doing an amazing job. Our union members have been doing an amazing job of displaying our knowledge about the business and understanding where we want to see it go, which is for it to grow and for us to be represented in that growth moving forward. So I understand that, relationships have to be mended in negotiations.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Wait. What did she say? She said, what now? Mended in where? In negotiations. So therefore, that means Fee could have just very well went back to the table, talked to Kathy, and ironed this out. Then Adam Silver did say that, hey, a deal will get done, relationships will be repaired. So all of this animosity, all of this stuff to uproar, have the league uproar in the WNBA, and all of this stuff against Kathy, y'all could easily sit back to the table and have a general conversation and mend it at the. Let me go back to this.
Have to be mended in negotiations.
Hold on.
And that, relationships have to be mended.
Well, let me go
represented
back.
In that growth moving forward. So I understand that, relationships have to be mended in negotiations. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's quite simple, really.
Well, guess what? If it's that quite simple, then that's what you need to sit down and have a conversation with Nafisha Carlier, because pretty much she's taking this quite personal. If you have the sentiment and Stewie had the same sentiment that is business is never personal, then why allow your personal feelings get in there because things didn't work out the way you wanted to work out? You know what I'm saying? That's all you have to do. Go back to the table, regroup, and go back to the table. If you don't want to, my thing is this: if Fee doesn't want to negotiate with Kathy or be in the same room with Kathy, then you, Nneka, the president, you need to step in and to say, "Hey, I'll take over," because Stewie and Fee has their own agenda, and if you allow that, then that just shows what kind of leader you are.
Yeah. So taking a lot of the emotions that perhaps you have out of it can...
Again, taking a lot of the emotions that you have out of it
can be alleviated in the negotiations.
Absolutely.
Now, did you just hear what Nneka had to say? Did you hear that? Did you genuinely hear what she said? Take the emotion out of it, mend it at negotiations. So therefore, Fee could have easily met with Kathy Engelberg the next day or later on in the week. But nope, she got in her feelings. See, when you're emotional like that, and you feel like because you tried to out somebody and that person came out on a platform and said, nah, this is what it is, and you take it personal, you'll never be able to negotiate business. That just shows Fee right there that she can never be at a table to negotiate because she gets too emotional and she take it too personal to be at the table to negotiate. See, she made it personal, but Stewie and Nneka just said, nah, you gotta take all of that out. You gotta get back to the table and we gotta negotiate this deal to get what we want. Hell, what you talking about over there? Let me play Stewie part real quick so y'all can see what I'm talking about here.
My reaction to Fee's statement is I agree with Fee. You know, I stand 100% with Fee and what she said. I think, yeah, we like that. I don't know. I think it's hard to see that kind of interaction transpire, to hear about it, and then know you still have to have negotiations and continue to be cordial across the table. So definitely agree with Fee. Was there more questions?
Oh yeah, okay. And there will be.
Transparent with us. So I think that our messaging right now is it's not personal. It is business. Show us your money and we'll show you yours. You know what I mean? Like, let's actually talk about it.
See, me personally, I can respect that. I can't even get upset of it. I can respect it. It's like Nino Brown said, it's business. It's never personal. And Fee makes it personal. In this point, I'd rather see Stewie or Nneka, regardless of what Stewie's agenda is with an rival. Who cares? But if they could talk level head like that and they understand it and they ain't putting the emotion involved, you need to move Fee out the way and say, hey, you too emotional with it. You should be out here talking to Kamala Harris, doing all of this stuff, taking it personal and all that. Stewie sounds like a person that you can sit down and have a conversation with. Yeah, she might want certain things. Nneka, she'll negotiate the last deal. If you don't believe me, take a look. Nneka was the one that had the last CBA deal. Look, in 2019, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert and the WNBA Players Association reached a historical 8-year collective bargaining agreement that significantly boosted player salary. And mind you, when it said boosted player salary, it was boosting to veteran salary. The veterans got a boost because the rookie deals was bad. Ask Caitlin Clark, ask Angel Reese. Provide fully paid medical leave. They got fully paid medical leave, increase travel quality for premium economy seats and private rooms, and introduce child care stipend and family planning benefit. Key players involved in the negotiation was Kathy Engelbert and leader like Shanae and Nneka Ogwumike. So why Nneka can't get back to the table and make this happen? She understood it from the last time, and then they got a significant increase implanted with the potential to top players in the league making this money. Over $500,000 annually. Maternity and family benefits. Players now receive full maternity leave plus a $5,000 annual child care stipend and reimbursement for family planning expenses such as adoption, surrogate, and fertility treatments. Quality of life. The CBA mandates premium economy seats on flights, eliminate shared hotels, and enhance the league mental health and wellness program. Revenue sharing. The agreement laid out the groundwork for a potential 50-50 revenue split. The league and the players by 2021, giving players the direct stake in the league's financial growth. Now, that's important right there because you know why? Since that agreement, the players didn't even meet that benchmark. They didn't meet that benchmark to get that 50-50. They didn't. Now they talk about 50-50 again because the fact of the matter is Caitlin Clark gave the league an economical boost. So they didn't even meet the benchmarks from the time they made the CBA. There was benchmarks in place for them to make that 50-50, but they didn't do it. And the league started losing money year after that. So that's key point to remember in there. And that's why. Other key factors was the CBA also includes investment in marketing, enhance the career development. Wow. Enhance career development opportunities and the introduction of a new in-season tournament, the Commissioner Cup, which significant prize money. So you mean to tell me in this last CBA, they was able to increase investment in marketing and enhance career development opportunities for these players, but they still was able to go overseas. And then they didn't. And then the thing about it is that's why the league was so hell bent on not having them go overseas to play, because when they get injured, they come back, and the fact that they have the team that they're playing for has to find somebody else, because they won't come back until probably depends on how long the injury is and all of that stuff like that. It could be like 2 to 3 weeks or a month, whatever the case might be. And they don't understand this. These players don't understand that. They talk about, well, they don't want us to make money elsewhere. But guess what? They're giving you every opportunity to stay home and work on yourself and work on your game, but you decide to go overseas. But see, if you had met the certain benchmarks, you would have the revenue sharing that y'all asking for now, you would have had that 50-50 revenue split, because then you would have been able to meet every benchmark that the league set out for you. See, that 50-50 wasn't just giving you 50-50. You had to meet certain benchmarks for it. Wow. Negotiating process. All right, so that's that. Now, they making it seem like the league didn't do anything for them back in 2019. But the fact of the matter is, there's all listed right there. They had a 50-50 revenue split. But guess what? They didn't meet certain benchmarks, and the league was actually losing money backwards. If they had met them benchmarks back then, guess what? They wouldn't even have to be asking for more money at this time. It would have been easy just to give them more money without anything. But these players are so selfish, and all they think about is they self and not trying to make the league better. And with all of these stuff, like the thing about it is, even if the league promotes physicality, right? You're a smart player. You don't have to play physical. You could play physical, but you don't have to be overly physical. You know what I'm saying? See, you got to be smart. You know what I'm saying? There's always ways to outsmart the system if you know what you're doing. But see, they didn't do that. But again, I commend Stewie and Nneka on this part, because they said, take the emotion out the situation. You got to come back to the table and talk. It don't matter how you feeling about that person. See, the thing is, they so hell bent on trying to get Kathy Engelbert out, they're making themselves look bad. And when their counterparts are telling them, say, hey, chill out. We got to get back to the table. We got to get this deal done. Relationships mean, and guess what? Neither one of them up there sitting there saying, oh, we want Kathy out. We want better leadership. All of that. All they're saying is that, hey, all of this stuff could be fixed. Just like what Adam Silver say. Now, like, comment, subscribe. Until the next ep, you know what it is.
Hey, so amazing. You see how they playing? Live wire. It's all about sports and entertainment. You don't want to miss it. So official, like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats. You know that we gotta run it back, whether on the field or the court. You know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying. This is Live Wire. Sports and entertainment.